Hello class. So I will be starting to post videos on the current subject matter that we're doing in class, and this is going to be the first one. I'll be going over Objective 4 and Objective 5, which is in Chapter 1, Section 2, which goes over just real numbers. So Objective 4 is all about an absolute value. Okay, so absolute value is symbolized by drawing two parallel lines around a number. And we can just use A to symbolize that number. And the absolute value of any number is greater than or equal to 0. Now remember from class when I use this symbol. So this symbol right here means is a member of. And R, this fancy R, is what we use to symbolize the real numbers. So all this statement is saying is that as long as A is a member of the real numbers, then the absolute value of A is always going to be greater than or equal to 0. And the way you can visualize this and think of this is you can draw a number line, and you can put 0 right here. And any number, right, whether it be negative, make this -4, and let's make this like 6, right? So the absolute value of 4 is actually going to be, oh, sorry, I meant to write -4. So the absolute value of -4 is going to be greater than or equal to 0, and in fact it is 4. The absolute value of 6 is equal to 6. Now I want you to pause the video for a second and think about why the absolute value of -4 is 4 and why the absolute value of 6 is 6. See if you can try to figure out what the absolute value means. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video, and the answer is that the absolute value tells you the distance from one number on the number line to 0. So the distance -4 to 0 is 4, right? Because you have -1, -2, -3, and -4. So that's 4 numbers from 0. And the same thing goes with 6. This distance is 6. So the absolute value of any number which is a member of the reals is just telling you the distance from 0 to that number. Okay? So next I want to go over Objective 5, which is using counterexamples. Here we have a statement. And let's say we want to tell whether or not this statement is true or false. One of the ways we can do this is use a counterexample. So I want you to read this statement, and I want you to pause the video again and try to see if you can think of a statement or a counterexample that would tell you whether or not this statement is true or false. Okay, go ahead and pause it. All right, so this might be a little tricky, but what it's saying is the absolute value of a number, just any number, is always positive. There is actually a counterexample to show that this statement is false. That counterexample is 0. So the absolute value of 0 is just 0. The distance from 0 to itself is nothing. And this tells us that the statement is false because 0 is not positive. So here we used a counterexample to tell us that this statement was not true. Now, if you have a statement that is true, then you can't use a counterexample to prove that it's true. So that's an important part. You only use counterexamples to tell when a statement is false. So for example, 0 is a whole number is another statement. And this statement is actually true, right? 0 is included in the whole numbers. However, you can't use a counterexample to show that 0 is a whole number. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and just let me know if you have any questions. See you next time.